Tonight on KGW News, SOS out of the backcountry. How a smartwatch helped rescuers quickly bring an injured skier to safety. Also ahead, the local school district getting creative to make sure immigrant families know their rights.
We hope that it gives them a little peace of mind. It's very stressful out there for a lot of families.
Then schools saved, at least for now, as board members vote against a plan that would have shuttered 3 Westland campuses. And later,
as a group of young women entering college, we are scared for our future.
What a new bill spearheaded by Washington teenagers could mean the next time you order a drink at a bar or club across the state. Thanks for joining us. I'm David Mulco. We begin tonight with how President Trump's crackdown on undocumented immigrants is now playing out locally and around the country, starting with nearly 1,200 people. That is the number Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE, arrested on Sunday alone, according to a senior Trump administration official. Some were wanted for serious charges, though nearly half did not have criminal records. At an ICE processing center in Chicago, one man facing deportation to Mexico because of a criminal history that includes home invasion and battery says he'll have to leave behind a 5-year-old daughter.
I went to school my whole life here, from preschool all the way to my senior year.
He does have serious charges and convictions. So I understand he has a daughter, and that's unfortunate, but we still have a job to do, and we still have to follow the law.
Just one man's story, one of many. Since Trump's inauguration a week ago today, ICE says it's taken more than 3,500 people into custody. At this point, there have been no confirmed extra operations by ICE in the Portland metro. The local school districts tell us they are still preparing. Catherine Cook's in the newsroom with an example of one that is going further to make sure families know their rights. Catherine.
David, every month, the Reynolds School District puts out a podcast. It's always in English and Spanish, but this month they say that point could not be more critical. And not just for parents in their district, but for everyone searching for answers.
¿Sabes qué? Did you know? Did you know?
Did You Know is the name of the Reynolds School District's monthly bilingual podcast. The latest episode asks listeners if they know their rights as immigrants.
That's a scary situation for families.
Podcast host Steve Padilla is Director of Communications for the Reynolds School District. On his latest episode, Padilla interviewed Antonio Ramirez Subiria. He's an immigrants' rights expert with Portland nonprofit Latino Network.
Hopefully we can ease the nerve of some families that are feeling in this moment that we're living in.
About 40% of students in the Reynolds School District are Spanish-speaking. In December, the school board passed a resolution protecting students regardless of their immigration status. It directs staff members to know the district's procedures should an immigration official come onto district property.
Oregon being a sanctuary state, if ICE were to come to our school, we would not allow them in. We would not allow them to interview students. We would not allow them to interview staff. We would, have them stay there. We would contact our attorneys, and they would take it from there.
Padilla says the one exception is if federal officials bring a warrant signed by a judge. During the podcast, Latino Network's legal expert warned that some officers might flash documents signed by their supervisors. But he says without a judge's signed warrant, you don't have to let them into your school, church, or for that matter, your home. And he says ICE agents will often identify themselves simply as police to get sensitive information up front.
They normally identify themselves as police. If somebody comes to your door and says, knock your door and says, I want to talk to you, I'm the police. And we have our rights to ask, what type of agency are you from? In that moment, they have to identify themselves if they're the police or they're ICE.
Finally, legal experts say you always have the right to remain silent.
When it comes to, ICE talking, you don't need to answer. If they ask you what your immigration status is, you do not need to answer that question. You can take the fifth, and they can't do anything about that. They'll try with intimidation tactics, but they have their rights, and so we want to let families and staff know that.
Other school districts, including Portland Public Schools, have passed similar resolutions vowing to protect students regardless of their immigration status. If you want to listen to the full Sabes Que podcast from Reynolds School District, we posted a link on our website, KGW.com. David.
Thanks, Catherine. Appreciate your reporting and all that perspective and context there. Thanks. Meanwhile, Washington Governor Bob Ferguson signed an executive order meant to support children of immigrants who are detained or deported. The governor creating a rapid response team involving the AG's office and State Patrol, so all are working together if families are forcibly separated.
It means ripping families apart. It means kids losing their parents. It means business losing their workers. It means communities being significantly altered. We need to be prepared if this were to come to pass.
Well, some of the goals include helping schools develop strategies to make sure education is not disrupted and to open the lines of communication for extra support. Stay with KGW and NBC News for continuing coverage of President Trump's immigration policies and their impacts nationally and here in the Northwest. For the very latest, check out the KGW app and our streaming channel. It is KGW Plus, available for free on Roku, Apple TV, and Fire TV. Okay, let's talk about the weather now, and a chilly night in the Rose City. 33 degrees, give or take, after another day of brilliant sunshine. Chief Meteorologist Matt Spino tracking where we're heading into the overnight hours with a weather impact alert. Matt?
More of the same for tomorrow and on Wednesday with cold mornings and sunny warm afternoons. But our focus is turning already to next Monday because we've got a potential for valley snow. The question is, of course, will it happen? Now, this is our best potential of the season so far, but it is also very, very far from a sure thing. So we're talking about it. We're keeping a close eye on it. But so far, just can't exactly say for sure that, yes, we're going to see it. And here's the reason why. We're going to see our pattern break down. This area of warm, dry weather that's been over us for weeks is finally going to give way, right? We're going to see cool westerly flow settle in, but it all depends on exactly where the coldest air goes. And right now, two of our leading models are both suggesting that it goes a little bit farther to the west, which means the coldest air would be offshore for a while, not quite cold enough for valley snow. But we need to keep our eyes on it because these forecasts often change as we get closer to the time in question, which is still a week away. So again, we know we're going to go to a cooler, wet pan. When I say cooler, the mornings will actually be quite a bit warmer. The afternoons will be cooler and it's going to be wet, and we will see snow return to the Cascades. So best case scenario, if you don't want snow, it'll just be a cold valley rain. Worst case is could see a couple 3 inches. The most likely case, though, is that we see a rain-snow mix with no sticking snow on the valley floor. More on this and the heavy snow cover of the Cascades in a bit, David.
Uncertainty in the forecast. See you in a few, Matt. New tonight, some of the families in the Westland-Wilsonville School District are breathing a sigh of relief after the board there voted unanimously not to move ahead with the plan to close several elementary schools. Alma McCarty was there.
This is Bolton, one of the schools in the Westland-Wilsonville district that the board considered closing, consolidating with other neighborhood schools. Now, many parents here and at two other small schools made a plea to leaders to keep them open. Inside the Westland High School auditorium Monday night.
Vice Chair White. Director Vidal. Aye. Thank you.
Families celebrated after months of uncertainty.
I came in nervous and I am so excited, just so excited that we were heard and that they want to do the right thing and that these quick decisions of closing schools isn't the right decision.
The district facing a $15 million budget shortfall due to both rising costs and lower enrollment proposed closing Bolton, Stafford, and Cedar Oak Park to cut costs. But many parents like Barbara Stratt and Christy Lawns argued there must be another way, organizing others to share their experiences with the board.
All these schools are so special. It's neat to have smaller schools where kids are seen and heard and just thrive in these.
We've put a lot of time and effort into this, and just even having one more year for my son, who's a first grader at his school, is huge.
It's not just the size of the classes. It's not just the school. It's our family to us.
After a few hours of discussion, the board voted unanimously to keep these primary schools open, at least for another year or two. But members acknowledged they'd need to revisit the topic.
I will caution that we are going to be back in this exact same financial situation a year from now.
Meantime, they pushed parents to advocate for more funding from lawmakers on the state level.
Going to Salem and talking to them is probably the next thing on our list.
In Westland, Alma McCarty, KGW News.
To get you caught up on tonight's other headlines now, we are now 3 weeks into the largest healthcare worker strike in Oregon history with still no sign of a deal. Some 5,000 nurses and doctors across Providence hospitals are asking for better contracts. A spokesperson with Providence telling KGW the current proposals from the union are not, quote, financially sustainable. So we asked some union members about that today.
You don't think you guys are asking for too much here?
No, we are not asking for too much, and we actually don't know why there's so much resistance to staffing part.
I became a nurse for a reason, and that was to take care of people. And if I am not being respected and I am not given the tools to adequately take care of people, it sucks.
Providence says at this point it continues to anticipate a lengthy walkout.
Walk backwards towards us. Both hands. Keep coming.
Okay, that's body cam video from Vancouver police as they took a suspected bank robber into custody. While this arrest was Friday, the robbery at the Bank of America on Southeast 164th was before Christmas. Authorities shared images from surveillance video and say several tips from the public helped them identify the suspect as Ryan Frisbee, eventually leading to this traffic stop. And one person is in custody after authorities raided what they are calling 2 chop shops, including one in Happy Valley. That location was on Southeast 172nd, just over the Clackamas County line. The Multnomah County DA's office, which has a task force that's been running points, says since last summer, they've linked potentially hundreds of stolen cars to this single operation. The DA's office adds auto thefts are down 62% in Multnomah County since 2022.